Can you hear me? How you doing? How's everybody doing tonight? Let me know if you can hear me really good. Um, this is Essence China. I'm so grateful to be here with you all. I've been missing for a couple weeks, and didn't nobody even send me a DM to ask me where I've been. I kind of felt like y'all wasn't missing me. I don't know. What's up, Cherise? What's up, Toya? Toya said, Preston says he can't hear. What's up, Nicole? Hair care. What's up, Wigs? You can hear now. Cool. Good. Well, tonight, I'm back with another installment. And I want to talk about the master keys to success. The master keys to success. And so we often hear, looking like a yay. We often hear about like keys to success. And I think many times people think it's just this formula that they have no access to. They feel like, oh, it's just for some people, but it's not for me. Why is that? Why do we exclude ourselves? Why do we disqualify ourselves from living the abundant life, the God life, the successful life? And so the reality is that there are principles, there are keys that are tried and true to becoming successful. So we're going to talk about the master keys to success. So I want to ask you, number one, which is the first key, right? You have to have clarity. You have to have clarity of vision. What do you see? What is it? What is your vision? What exactly is it that you see for yourself? I think many times people are scared to actually put out or even to say what they want or say whatever it is that they see because they feel like they're not worthy of that thing. They feel like, who am I to say what I want? It's what God wants, but it is what God wants, but it's also the desires that he's placed in your heart. What do you see? And so you have to have clarity of vision. And so my question to you is, what is it that you see? What does success look like to you? What does success look like to you? And so when we hear the word success, a lot of times people equate it to, a financial status. People equate it to, having material things. But I feel like success is doing what you were designed to do and loving that. Loving it. When I started doing hair, I never thought that hair would be something that I would do for the rest of my life or that I was going to do it for any amount of time. I really thought that hair was going to be something that took me to a certain place or helped me get through college or helped me get through school. I didn't understand that it was something that I was going to continue to do. And so when I started like doing hair and then I started realizing that this is not something that's just a hobby, it's actually a calling. God started to open up vision. He started to give me vision for the next steps and what else I was supposed to do. And one of those things was to open a salon. And so before I actually stepped into salon ownership, I had vision. I thought to myself, what would it look like to have a salon that I like? That I would like to go to if I was getting my hair done. And so I had to document my vision. I had to get very clear on what it is I saw. And so sometimes we forget to document and to write these things out and to get them out of our heart and to get them on paper so we can start believing it. Am I worthy of the success? Am I clear about what success looks like? Sometimes we take on other people's idea of success. What other people deem as successful for us or what other people deem as successful for them may not fit what's successful to you. What does it look like to you? And so clarity of vision is going to be so key. And so when we think about vision, vision has to do with what you see, not with your eyes, but what you see with your heart, what you see that is not necessarily a reality right now, but that it's just burning in you. What do you see? So you have to have vision. The second thing you have to do is you have to be committed to service. And I think this is where sometimes we kind of get these things mixed up, because whatever it is that you were called to do, it's always going to involve people. It's going to be serving people. And so when we're serving people, what sometimes we don't understand is that everybody is called to a certain demographic, whether it's kids, whether it's mothers, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, artists. Like, you're called to something. And so when I hear that scripture, there's a scripture that says, let the greatest among you serve. As we serve, this is what helps us be more successful, because us serving other people, it's actually fulfilling us. When I was doing hair, it was my greatest joy to bring joy to other people in that specific area. And I think a lot of times people say, well, I want to help people. And it's like, okay, well, we all want to help people, but in what specific way do you want to help people? In what specific way do you want to serve, and how will that be a benefit to them? And so, hold on real quick, because I took notes, but I ain't take a whole lot. But identifying who you're serving and how you're serving, and how is that bringing you fulfillment. And so I think a lot of times people tend to see people serving the same demographic that they want to serve, and because there's somebody else doing it, they disqualify themselves because they feel like there's so many people that's already doing it. And I think that that's one of the biggest weaknesses that we can even have, because we don't understand that there's a specific characteristic, a specific quality that we have that we're supposed to give. There's a scripture that says, and greater works shall you do. Even greater than Christ. Why is that? It's because there are so many people that are in need of help. So many people that are waiting for you to show up and to serve the way that you were called to serve. And they may never get served if you don't show up. And so the reason why I believe it's greater works that we will do is because sometimes we think that those greater works are something specific as it pertains to, I hate to say it like this, but of a spiritual nature. But when we're bringing wholeness and healing to people, it doesn't mean that we're casting out demons and we're doing a whole bunch of stuff that we maybe in our mind think that that's like doing God's work. No, doing God's work is restoring people, restoring them in whatever way that he's called you to restore them. So in the time that I was doing hair, I was restoring people into their beauty, into their own self-worth, into their own significance. And so sometimes we can discount our work because we feel like that work is not necessarily esteemed as high as somebody else's work. No, you're doing your work, and your work is valuable and it's necessary. So you have to be committed to doing the work that you were called to do, because if you don't show up, there may be a group of people that are neglected because they need you. Your success is going to come from your commitment to serving the group of people that you were called to serve. That's how it's greater works, because when everybody is in their position and serving who they were called to serve, now everybody is being touched because everybody's doing their work. Success. You're being fulfilled because you're serving those people. They're being fulfilled. And in turn, you're helping them even a step further into their calling because you're doing what you call to do. And I think that that's where we have to understand that there are people that are so, there's a need. Just like there may be a need for you to listen to your favorite person on a podcast or read a particular book, or if there was a person who did not show up in their right, you may say to yourself, I wouldn't be who I was called to be if they didn't show up. There's somebody who's going to say that about you. I hope you hear that. There's somebody right now that says, if let me see who's on here right now. If Kale Meal Prep did not show up, I would not be where I was called to be. I would not be who I'm called to be. Why? Because there are people that are literally, you're the key to their next level. And so as you serve and you give out of your God-given ability and the grace that God has given to you, there's somebody else that's coming along that's going to say, this person stood up and did their work, and I'm so grateful for them, because I would not be who I was called to be or where I would need to be if they didn't do it. And so when I think about certain people that like have greatly impacted my life, I'm like, man, if they would have never served, if they would have never poured out, I don't even know where I would be. Because there were certain things that spoke to my spirit, and I heard it for so long, it no longer was information. It came to a point where it was revelation, to where it opened and unlocked something in me that caused me to transform. So there are people that you may be assigned to, and there may be people that are assigned to you, that they can only hear it or experience it through you, whatever it may be. So don't minimize your way in which God has called you to serve, and even to the amount of people that you've been called to serve. No, your work is worthy. So you have to understand that you have to have clarity of vision and document your vision and keep your vision before you, because as you keep your vision before you, even the things that God has shown you that seem completely out of your range, out of your reach, as you continue to believe and do the work, the vision's going to open up, and you're going to go from looking at your vision to living your vision. Keep it before you until you are in it. Keep speaking it until you see it, until you're in it. This is how you get yourself out of your current situation. And so we got to go from looking at the vision, documenting the vision first and foremost, and making sure that our vision is very authentic to who we are. Because I think that so many times people, they have this copycat vision in their mind. This copycat vision, because it looks good on paper, or because somebody else told them that they think that's a good idea for them. No. Not what somebody else told you. What is authentic to you? What is that vision that when you close your eyes, you can't escape it, because it's something that keeps coming back to you over and over again? That's who you are. And then we begin to serve. We're committed to the service. We're committed to pouring out, because as we pour out, we're being poured into, because it's actually who we are and what brings us joy. I think about when a bird flies. Flying is built into a bird. And many times, whatever it is that we're called to do, when we begin to do it, it's so easy for us because we have a grace to do it. This is where success comes from, true success. And the third key is consistency and authenticity. Consistency and authenticity. If you would have came to my page and I would post a video every 3 months, and they might be fire videos, right? But after a while, it's like, dang, this girl, like, she good at what she does, but she's not consistent enough. When people decide to follow you or to glean from you, the more consistent you are, the more traction you're going to make, the more momentum you're going to have. But if you have like this start-stop type of process throughout your journey, which, don't get me wrong, there are times and seasons where you're starting that engine, and it may take a while for you to get that engine started. But once you get into your, you know what I'm saying, your flow, you got to stay consistent. And so that consistency is so key. I always think that, the two keys, if you have consistency and authenticity, there's nothing that will stop you. Because there are a lot of people who are consistent, but they're not authentic. They're consistent in what they're doing, and they keep on putting things out, and that's great, but there's something that just doesn't connect. Because there's a lack of authenticity. There's a lack of realness. There's something just don't feel right. Something just ain't right. And then you have the people who are authentic, and they're true to who they are and what they're doing, but because of whatever, it could be excuses that they make, they still haven't found that flow to where they're consistent. And so while they're giving you whatever is, okay, let me give you an example. Say you're a person who, I don't know, tell me something that you all do. You might be an amazing coach. You might be an amazing speaker. You might be an amazing baker, but because of lack of confidence, we kind of play with it. So we're really good at what we do and we're very clear on who we are, but because of that, we're inconsistent. And that inconsistency is going to keep us from the success. The success is in the consistency. It's in, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to ride this thing. I'm going to keep on doing it because I understand the more I do it and the more real I am to it, eventually, even if it's not making traction right now, it's gonna happen. It's only a matter of time. And so some of you need to write this down on a piece of paper right now. It's only a matter of time. All I got to do is be consistent and authentic. Consistent. Can we get back to the Martin? Because you was off for a second. I'm sorry. I'm talking to my video guy. All you got to do is be consistent and authentic. So what is like where does your oh Lord, I can't even say the word authenticity derive from? It's knowing who you are and being resolute in who you are, not comparing yourself, not doing what you feel like people want. I find that there's a lot of disconnection with people who have services and who have gifts and who have talents because they're still trying to give their audience what they think people want. No, be true to you. Whatever industry you're in, give it to your audience the way that you would like it. Like, I think there's so much, how do I say this? I feel like there's so much misinformation when it comes to serving your audience. And the reason why I say that is this, because many businesses have been built for people, how do I say this? They're not serving themselves. So let me give you an example. When I speak to you, I'm speaking to me. It's easy for me to speak to you because I'm speaking to myself when I needed this word. So I don't have to go into the mind of somebody and create a template and deliver something to you because I'm trying to make something up. And so a lot of businesses have been derived to, how do I say this, sell to somebody who is not them. And so therefore, there's a lack of connection and there's a lack of authenticity because they're not selling to themselves. They're not sowing to themselves. And many times when you're called to serve a group of people, I hate to say you're serving yourself because I don't want to throw that off, but you're serving who you would have been on the receiving end at one point in time. So it's easy for you to serve them because that was once you. So when that's a good idea. So there are companies who market to melanated folks, but they're not melanated. So now they have to go get a representative to say, let me get into the mind of this person and what kind of music would they like? What kind of fonts do they like? What, so we can they're not being authentic. So they got to get a representative to get before you. And so this is where the lack of connection comes from. But when we're called to serve, we're serving the old you. So many of you right now, you may be called to serve a group of people. And it's like, I've talked to people who have experienced domestic violence, experienced losing a child, experienced losing a sibling to something. And now because they experience what they experience, they are qualified to go into this arena because they can identify with the hurts and the pains and all of the issues that a person may be going through because they dealt with it too. So that's just one aspect of being authentic when you step into whatever area you're called to step into. Now, I do want to say that just because you may not have experienced something, it doesn't necessarily disqualify you because God can put a grace on you to identify with anybody and whatever it is that they may be going through. But many times when we are called to serve a group of people, it's because we dealt with it as well. Somebody said the man in the mirror. What's up, Your Tunes, Yoruba Sound Book? So we have to Martin, come here. So we have to understand that we have to be consistent and we have to be authentic. And so one of the things that just pay attention to that. So one of the things that God helped me to really understand earlier last year, before I started being consistent with my videos, and the reason why I got consistent is because I realized that there was going to be no traction if I didn't. And so some of you, you're looking for a level of traction. You're looking for growth in a particular area. But if you want to grow in a particular area and you want to succeed in a particular area, you can't be divided. Some of you, specifically because when you're creative, you have these ideas. You got a lot of ideas and you got a lot of talent. But what happens when we have a lot of ideas and a lot of talent, sometimes we can be stagnated because we don't know which one to go to. We don't even know which one to give the energy to. But I would recommend, it will behoove you to pick one. What do I need to decide? Like, which one is really jumping out at the piece of paper? Which one is it that, like, man, I could do this in my sleep? I don't even mind if I don't get paid for this. Like, I would, which one is it? Pick that thing and ride that thing. Because in order for you to have any level of traction, you have to make a decision. And so I made a decision. I said, okay, God, like, I'm going to go ahead and start doing what I feel like you've been leading me to do. And as I began to do it, I said, okay, I'm going to be consistent for 6 months and I'm going to just see what happens after 6 months. And I was consistent. And as I started to gain the momentum, and I realized, like, oh, snap, the key is consistency. The key is being real. The key is not trying to be perfect and try to not make mistakes. When we're overcritical about whatever it is that we want to do or however we want to present things, we find ourselves not doing it because of the judgment. We find ourselves not doing it because we want it to be perfect. People don't need things perfect. They need it real. The reason why I don't feel no kind of way with having a mid-conversation while I'm live, because this is real life. Like, this ain't it's a production, but it's not a production. And so when you try to overproduce whatever it is that you want to do, whether it is building your business, like, we get into this perfectionism, which, like, then it gets into procrastination. Success is not looking for perfectionism. Success is looking for you to get started. How can you succeed if you never try? If you never listen, I had every reason not to go live. I had every reason not to do videos. Every reason. Listen, I was like, listen, God, I don't think I got nothing to say. You don't want to, I don't want to do this. And I ran for so long, y'all. And some of you right now are running, and you know you're running. And you're running because you want it to be perfect. And I understand you want to deliver in excellence but some of that perfection can lead into you never doing anything. When you're called to serve people, people just want to know that you care. People just want to know that you're real. Your success is going to come from serving, and that serving is serving people. Let the greatest among you serve. Who are you called to serve? And in what way, what's up, Mashar? In what way are you called to serve them? In excellence, but not in perfectionism. Give them your best. But they don't need no produced. They don't need that, because that doesn't feel real. It just don't feel real. Can you, there's a Last Days Warrior. I don't know what's going on over here. Oh. Anyway, in Jesus' name. So we gotta be clear on who we are. We gotta get clear on the vision. Write the vision and make it plain. I wrote visions from over 15 years ago. I created vision boards. In the last probably 10 years, I've had 3 or 4 of them. And I'm telling you, because I was very definite in the direction that I was called to go, God continued to increase me. And so I think sometimes he's waiting for us to get definite about who we are. And that definition is going to come from him, but he's just looking for us to agree with it and start moving in that way. Stay focused. Stay focused. Don't allow yourself to be distracted. Consistency and authenticity. Am I authentic? Or am I afraid to be authentic? Because if I'm being authentic and somebody rejects me being authentic, then I really feel that blow. See, it's almost easier to not be authentic because when you get it rejected, they really didn't reject you. They rejected your representative, so it don't really hit you at the core. But we have to stop being afraid of being rejected for who we are, because technically we haven't been rejected. It just means that we weren't called to them and they weren't called to me. It's going to require a different you. The level of success that you're looking for and the ability to serve and to serve the community that you were going to serve, it's going to require a different you. You're going to be forever evolving. You're going to be forever removing layers, because I'm sure you probably heard this, and if you haven't, it says what got you here won't get you there. The you today is not going to be the you that's going to fully step into that full vision that you see for yourself. You almost have to look at your vision. This is good. You almost have to look at your vision and ask yourself, what version of me do I have to be? I'm going to say that again. What version of me do I have to be that is in alignment with this vision? Because if I was already her, I would already be there. So let's get to the self-awareness and start asking ourselves, okay, so what needs to change? What needs to be adjusted? You know what I mean? Like, let's get to that. I was laughing because there's an area of my life that I'm just like, in my personal life, and I'm just like, dang, I really want this to change. And so clearly there must be a held belief within me that is contrary to this woman that I want to become. And so in order for me to become this woman, I have to look at the vision of who I see for myself and ask myself, what does that woman feel? How would she envision that, so I can start becoming that, so I can start coming into alignment with that? And so some of us, we still have the old version of ourselves. And the old version of ourselves is not congruent with where we're called to be, who we're called to be, that fits the vision. The vision also has a version of you. So write down, what is that version of me? If your vision is to have a business and it is to serve a certain group of people, some of those questions you need to ask yourself is like, okay, if I want to be a business owner, am I on time? Do I operate in integrity? See, because sometimes we can deceive ourselves into thinking that we're worthy of something when we know that there are things that are not in alignment with who we need to be. So asking ourselves, am I that version of that person that fits that vision? And if I'm not, how do I start working on becoming that person? Because as I become that person in heart, mind, and emotion, you end up walking into it because you're prepared for it. You ready for it now? Be consistent and authentic. Marja Francois. What's up, Vanita Haney? Do y'all feel me on this? The success that I'm waiting for is waiting for me. It's waiting for me to get clear on the vision. It's waiting for me to be committed to serving, because it's not about us. Who is it that we're called to serve? And typically it's the old version of us. So we know exactly how to serve that person. What did you need? What did you need during that time? And then how can I be more consistent with serving? And how can I be more authentic with who I am? Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Kelly. What's up, sister violinist? Play that violin, girl. Who do I need to be? So obviously there are a lot of master keys to success. But so much of success really has to do with self-awareness, because we have to assess ourselves and become that person that is in alignment with that. I can't tell you some of the things that God just showed me, and I'm just like, okay, Lord, help me get there. Because it's not, sometimes we think it's the time that has to pass for it to come to pass, if that makes sense. We think, okay, well, maybe it's just not God's timing. But along with God's timing is a process. Along with his timing is a preparation. And there is an accountability. There is a responsibility on that side. And so, yeah, he going to prepare you. But then also, too, can we self-examine? Are we self-aware? What's up, Elisa? Thank you. And if you all have questions, feel free to have questions. I'm going to pause for the cause, but I will be doing it's a women's group. So if you're a man, I'm sorry, I can't. Not on this go. But this group is to help women become. This group is to help women become more aware of who they already are. See, God has not changed his mind about you. He's not schizophrenic. What he said from the foundation of the earth is and will continue to be, because you already are. You just have to become aware of who you are. And as you become aware of who you are, that's how things open up. So he hasn't changed his mind. But many of us are not familiar with who we are. And so all we got to do is get back in touch. And so I want to take a group of women on this journey to becoming authentically bold. Not just bold, you know what I'm saying? Not wrong and strong, but strong in the sense of knowing who we are and being very authentic. People connect with authenticity. They can't connect with the fake. They can't connect with, you feel what I'm saying? The counterfeit, the copycat. They need the real you, the one who's not afraid of being judged, the one who's not afraid of making a mistake, because we're not perfect. Self-awareness is everything. Yeah, we got to be authentically bold. So if that's something that you're interested in, there is a link in the bio. I was going to start that group March 1st, but I need to push it back because my mom's been having some challenges. And so, she's priority. But I want to make sure that I'm here with you all. But if that's something that you're interested in, click the link in my bio so you can get more information. And again, I'm going to put a new date to it. So I might push it back towards the end of the month and might get started somewhere like in April. But we have to understand that people are going to connect with your confidence. And so when we're looking to be successful, the success is not coming from no timidity. The success is not coming from, what was that man's name in The Wizard of Oz, in The Wiz? I can't even remember. Y'all know the name. But it ain't going to come from no scaredy cat. Like, people are going to buy into you and buy into what you're doing because they believe it because you believe it. They believe it because you're bold. They believe it because you're convicted about what you're doing and the results that you can get in their lives. And a lot of times the reason why you're so convicted is because you walk through it. You already done been through the fire. And you're not telling your story from a place of pity. You're telling your story from a place of power. That's Dr. Cindy Trim. So when you tell your story, you're not looking like you need help. Like, well, girl, if something wrong with you, how you gonna help me? If you ain't even bold enough, if you ain't even confident enough, and how you gonna help me? No, I need you to be bold. I need you to be confident, and not in no arrogant way. No, because you know. And when people get to the place where they recognize, oh, this person's convicted, this person is confident, this person is consistent, this person is committed, this person, come on now. And then there's a cosmetic, you know what I'm saying? Like there's an aesthetic that just shows like they're not just playing around, because sometimes the reason why we're not succeeding the way that we need to succeed is because we sloppy with it. You can't give people anything. Serve with excellence. Yes or yes? I'm just saying. So we got to serve with excellence, and it can't just be any kind of way. And I think that's where it goes back to that self-examination. And when we're called to serve, we're also called to lead. And in leading, the definition, this ain't the definition, but when I think about a leader is able to make decisions, good decisions. When I look at somebody in any area and I think about, okay, are they going to be able to lead well? I'm looking at the decisions that they've made for themselves. And the decisions that they've made for themselves are evident because you can look at different areas of their life to say, okay, I think that you can lead in this area. Okay. You financially, you do this, that, and the third. Okay, well, I can't necessarily look at your finances, but I can get a general idea of how you are with finances. So leadership has to do with making decisions. How well do you make decisions for yourself? Why do I say that? Because now when God has called you to open a business, to do whatever he's called you to do, you're actually going to be leading, because by serving, you are leading. And you don't lead with your mouth, you lead with your actions. Are you qualified to lead? Are you ready? There you go, servant leader. Are you ready to lead? And that doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Again, it does not mean you have to be perfect, but it does mean that you have a level of accountability and you have a level of self-awareness, and you know how to be humble. Humble yourself. So if you're going to lead, the way that you're able to lead is because you have exemplified being a servant. And as you serve well, the elevation just happens. So I probably done gave you about 4 or 5 of those keys really quick. But the first 3 were the ones that I really wanted to focus on. And the remainder of those are things that we have to just consistently just assess ourselves and be aware, and making sure that we're becoming that version of that person. What is it going to require of me? The level of success that I'm asking for, what is it going to really require of me? I got to learn how to have hard conversations. There was a point in time where I ran from confrontation. I don't, if anything seemed like it's going to be some tension, oh yeah, I'm cool. I'm going to just duck out real quick. Because we didn't really see that model in a household. And so, you know what I'm saying? We just do the avoidance game. If you're going to lead, you got to confront. If you're going to lead and you're going to succeed, you have to confront. Think about this. I'm thinking about a pioneer, and I'm thinking about, going into some uncharted territory. As you go into uncharted territory, you have no clue of what you're going to encounter. But in order to make progress, in order to take over the land, you have to confront some things. If you decide to avoid things, there will be no progress. There will be no conquering of territory, because you're just going to keep, every time you run into a little situation, you're going to run. Are you emotionally mature enough to confront? Because confrontation has to be done in truth and love, right? We can confront with attitude, all types of stuff, but no, not confront in the way that we're ready to fight, but confront in the way that we are willing to come to resolution, and we know how to be fair. I know some of this may seem like, okay, she's talking about success, but I'm talking about, no. These are the things that come with success, because you can easily get there and lose it all if your character can't keep you. What areas do I need to be developed in to maintain it? Because avoidance won't. Are we scared to have hard conversations? I remember a point in time, and this is early into my business, where this is my very first salon, and I had, hairstylist, and one hairstylist was beefing with another hairstylist. And at that time, I was just like, listen, we all just here to make some money. Like, y'all gonna have to work it out. But I was scared at that time. I hadn't developed that leadership quality to confront things. So I would avoid things in my business. But me avoiding these things in my business actually brought more issues. So when you decide to avoid things, just remember that it's going to continue to snowball, and at some point it's going to blow up. Are you ready to confront some things? Anywho, y'all got any questions tonight? Do you have any questions esta noche? I know I've been missing in action. I will be back. Martin, at this point, I'm like, you got COVID. Got forward time. I'm like, get out the studio if you gonna keep on coughing. No, I'm just playing. That's like my brother. Don't mind me. He over here coughing in the background. I was like, listen, I gotta take care of my mama. I can't get sick. You feel what I'm saying? Well, get you a cough suppressant or something. Oh, Lord. Okay, let me focus. Any questions? We're talking about success, but I can answer questions on anything. If you've seen any of my videos recently, somebody asked me under one of the posts, how do I program my mind? I don't know if you're on here right now. I talk about that all the time, because the only way that you're going to change, y'all know I ain't got no sense. The only way that you're going to change is that you are consistent with that programming. And that word may seem real easy. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing these comments come through. I'm late. That word may seem so easy, not necessarily so easy, but it's an easy word to say, but it's a difficult thing to actually do and to be disciplined enough to continue to do. So if there's somebody on here that wants to talk about that, we can certainly talk about that. But if there are any other thoughts that you all may have, feel free to ask me those questions. If not, I'm going to be back next week. Okay. Why he about to post in here, y'all? Y'all going to see this comment. He talking about he ain't sick. Listen. But your cough is saying otherwise. See what I'm talking about? Y'all see what I'm talking? Y'all hear the coughs in the back, or is it me? Oh, Lord. Vaughn, I'm live right now. I'm gonna call you back. No, you good. Yeah, y'all. Okay, well, if there ain't no questions, I love y'all. My heart and my mind, hold on, I might stay on a little bit longer now. Think about it. My heart and my mind is really to help people become, right? And so this is the reason why I'm here. This is the reason why I'm doing things. But the most worthy work, if I don't say anything else, the most worthy work that you can ever do is to work on your mind. Sometimes we find ourselves trying to exert and to force things to change in our lives. But we don't understand that the habitual patterns and the belief systems that are invisible, and we don't understand that we have a concept of ourselves. We have an image of ourselves. And that image, until it is confronted with truth, until that image is assessed and reevaluated, we will never really change our lives. What we'll do is we'll tend to we'll be able to change for a second by force. But eventually you're going to go back to your old patterns until you start recognizing why those patterns are there. So the most worthy work you can do is on your mind. And so as I get up more and more, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be conscious almost of everything that I do, you know what I'm saying, on a day-to-day basis, so I can recognize. I'm trying to be conscious of everything that I even say, because as we speak out of our mouth, it's an indication of what we believe in our hearts. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So what you think about yourself, what you think about life, all of that is stored in your heart, and it dictates how you behave. Your behavior dictates who you become and what you behold and what it is that you encounter in life. So instead of trying to deal with the outside world, we have to deal with what's going on within us. Do I really love myself? Are my choices congruent with my own love for myself? So much of our success comes from our self-concept. What do we think about ourselves? Do we think that we're worthy? What do we think we're qualified for? I was having a conversation with my mom earlier, and it was such a good conversation. And we were talking about how as we evolve and we grow, and sometimes we can have regrets about the things that have happened in our lives in the past, and how we can stay stuck there, and how sometimes we can judge ourselves, or even sometimes fool ourselves into thinking that what we once had, we still want, relationally, even with certain, but we don't understand that the reality is, as we grow and we evolve, what we accepted for ourselves back then could never reintroduce itself back into our lives, because we've become a different version of ourselves as we've worked on our mind. And so sometimes what happens is we get information, right? And information is cool. Information is good, but information doesn't bring transformation. Revelation does. Information is on this level right here, right in our mind. Revelation is when your heart changes, when you get it, when you understand it, when you grasp it so much so that you will never go back to that vomit, because you have transformed. And so when I look at certain things that I accepted in relationships, y'all, how do we get here? It would never happen to me. It would never happen to me again, because I have revelation of who I am and who God created me to be and what I'm worth. So in every area of our life, we have to ask ourselves, what do I believe that I'm worthy of? If you don't know what you're worthy of, and you find yourself accepting, and so sometimes people accept things that are so beneath them, but because that's the level that they see themselves on, though they want it, they continue to gravitate to the things that are congruent in an alignment with how they see themselves, even if it's invisible. This is why I talk about repetition and rehearsing, because we can get information, and information is cool, but sometimes people have a head knowledge. They know it in their head, but they don't know it in their heart. They don't have revelation. God, I pray that you give me revelation of who you've called me to be, what I'm worthy of, what I should accept. And if you go and read, go read the word. The Bible says we are transformed by the renewing daily of our minds. And so we're looking to become a new person, and we have this vision, and God said you can have this vision. This is yours, but you have to become a different version of you. You have to believe that you can have this. Do y'all believe? What do you believe? That's a hard question to ask. And it's even harder question to answer, because we got to dig deep to really ask ourselves, what do I believe? What do I believe? I mean, you got to sit with yourself. The most worthy work you can do is to work on your mind. What do I believe? I feel like I'm about to start crying. When you understand what you believe, you can ask yourself, is it consistent? Is it congruent to the life that you want to live? Because otherwise, the things that we desire, we will reject it because it's not congruent with our self-image. Sometimes I hear people make self-deprecating statements about themselves. I mean, they do it so much so it's almost like they want to beat somebody to the punch to reject them or to make them feel bad about themselves. So they do it first so the person doesn't do it. They're so used to being in this emotional state of being rejected that they self-reject. But you want something different. But you can't get anything different because you're not self-aware to hear yourself. It's coming out of your heart. God, change my heart. So many of us want success, but we got to have success in our heart. Our heart has to change. We got to get healed and we got to get whole. I remember about 10 years ago, I didn't know that I wasn't happy. All I know is I had 2 salons. Things were going well. I'm traveling and I felt empty. And I was like, what is it? Like, I should feel happy. Why am I not happy? And so I went on a trip. I did all these external things, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's not about the trip that we need. I have a quote that says it's not about taking the trip. It's about taking the inner trip to peace. You can go lay on a beach and that's all well and fine. And I love having sand in my toes. But the real trip is me figuring out, what do I think about myself? Why am I not happy? And so I went on a journey to start becoming self-aware. What do I believe in my heart? What are the things I'm like relationally I was suffering? Some of us, we want success, but we're not in the place of even building relationships. We're not even relationally healthy. How you think you're going to succeed by yourself? Did I just go too left for y'all? Did I just go too left? Or are we right on track? Yeah, y'all. So we got to go deep. The most worthy work is the work that you do on your mind, the work that you do in your heart, figuring out what's hidden deep in your heart, what keeps on causing you to, what's the word I want to use? Self-sabotage. Am I self-sabotaging? And once we get to the yes, because ain't nobody keeping you from anything but yourself, why am I self-sabotaging? What's the root of the self-sabotage? You'd be very surprised when you start digging and you start recognizing patterns and you start recognizing what's coming out of your mouth. I was around somebody last week and they were so critical. I mean, everything they said, it was just so negative. And I'm like, do you not hear yourself? And I thank God for that, because I don't want to judge that person. But the Bible says, take the mote out your eye first. And then you could take the speck out of somebody else's eye. And so when I come across people and I start looking at undesirable traits, it makes me look at me. And it also helps me to give somebody grace. And so as I look at myself and I'm just like, okay, Lord, I thank you that you've helped me to even hear myself when I speak. And so when I hear people and they're just so negative, I'm like, dang, I wonder if they hear themselves. And you can get so later on in life that you may have never had anybody around you that could be a mirror or, help you to actually hear yourself, that you just think is normal. And so many of us, we can get so rooted in patterns and we can be so unopen to any level of checks and balances that we think that this is who we're supposed to be. But then we don't realize that everything that we're being is rejecting, it's self-sabotaging us for what we see for ourselves. You have to become somebody different. This live is confirmation. The knowledge is here. It's time for the revelation. Amen. Thank you, God. Who am I being? In order for you to become, in order for you to behold, in order for you to step fully into this vision of success that God has for you, because success is really just doing what he designed you to do and doing it well. You have to assess, who am I being? Who am I being emotionally? Who am I being mentally? I said this a while back, but I was like, if we could go anywhere in our mind, like right now I could close my eyes and feel the breeze. Like I could just imagine myself on a beach, toes in the sand. I could feel the breeze. I can hear the ocean. Like I can almost be there, right? Our minds are so powerful. Why is it that we don't recognize how powerful our minds are, that we begin to create our future within ourselves and we start being in that emotional state and being grateful for all that God has given us in this very moment? Because if you can't be grateful for this very moment, how are you going to be grateful for when he gives it to you? You better find your happiness now. So the flip of that is that many times people use this movie theater, this wealth creation center, this great engine, search engine that God has given us. Why do we take it to go see a horror movie? Why do we imagine hell? Why do we stay in this place? Emotionally, mentally, thinking of worst case scenarios, still with a smile on our face. It's us. Say, it's me, oh Lord, standing in need of prayer. Not my mother, not my father. So I went to therapy. When I started realizing I wasn't happy, I went to therapy, and I honestly, I was so ashamed that I didn't want to tell nobody. Nobody. I don't want to tell nobody, because in my mind, I'm like, I ain't crazy, but listen, I need to find something else. Something to fix my brain. And at this time, I didn't understand all of this stuff. I didn't hear anybody talking like this, right? All I knew was that, okay, if I'm not happy, let me find out how to find my happiness. Let me pursue the happiness. Let me go watch that movie real quick. And so I realized that a lot of my unhappiness came from my relational challenges. I was so focused on my business, and I prioritized my business that I really didn't care less about relationships. I was like, listen, if you ain't talking about God, if you ain't talking about getting money, you know what I'm saying? If you ain't I really don't have time for you. And I didn't have a lot of entrepreneurs around me that I could relate with. So I just was like, I stayed to myself. Like I just grinded. And that benefited me in ways for a season. But after a while, I was like, okay, but what is life? So we got to have that balance. And so I learned how to come more in congruency with all of that. You feel what I'm saying? Anywho, y'all, how y'all get me all the way over here? I was about to end about 20 minutes ago, and then we got back started because something happened. But if you don't take nothing else from this, ask yourself, who am I being? What version of myself do I need to be in order to align with this vision? There's a version to go with the vision. Take that with you. I'm going home. Martin, I thank you. I ain't heard a cough since. What, you took some Theraflu? Anywho, y'all, if you was on early, you know why I said that. Thank you, Yori. Talk more about relationships. Listen, I can do a whole live. And when I talk relationships, I'm talking about relationships with myself, relationships with my mother. Y'all, I could really go in right there. I could really go in right there. God restored. Y'all understand? My mom was like my best friend. But there was a season in my life where I was heavily just irritable concerning my mom. I didn't understand why. And I remember God would like wake me up in the middle of the night and my mom would be on my mind. And at this time, I'm talking about this is like 8-9 years ago. At this time, I would call my mom every couple of weeks. I would call her when, what's up, Dallas Loctician? I would call her when I felt guilty, like, dang, that is my mom. I should just call her. And there was one time I was doing my mom's hair and my mom was saying something and I just and I mind y'all, I'm a thug, y'all. I ain't a thug, but I don't really be crying. Like I used to really suppressed my that's a whole nother lie. But I used to suppress my tears to the point where it became automatic. I never used to cry. But anyway, so my mom was talking and I just started feeling emotional. I was like, what is going on? But God was dealing with me. He was dealing with my heart and I didn't understand it. And so as I went to therapy, that was one of the main relationships that God worked on. He started working on me and he started working on me with my mother. And God restored that relationship so much so that I be with my mom all the time. Mind you, she's going through what she's going through, but like, that's like my best friend. And I thank God that he gave me an opportunity to restore that relationship while she's still here. Some of us don't have that opportunity, but my mom didn't change. I did. So sometimes we're looking and we're pointing fingers, and if we could just change ourselves, again, don't worry about the little thing in somebody else's eye. Get the thing out of your eye first, and once you get it out of your eye, you'll recognize that what's in their eye is insignificant. It ain't even worth you taking the time to try to get it out. Fix yourself. Fix your life. The replay will be on YouTube. So we can definitely, I probably will do a live about relationships because we don't really understand that as much as we want success is going to be in conjunction with having healthy relationships. And if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, you don't love yourself because you can only love others to the degree that you love yourself. And what does that self-love look like? I remember I was having a conversation with one of my homegirls. I don't even know if she's still on here. Mashar, are you still here? But one day we was having a conversation. She was like, self-love is flossing your teeth. I was like, girl, that is so real. And at that time I had never thought about it, but self-love is giving yourself what would the older you thank you for? In 15 years, what is that version of you going to look back and thank you for? That's self-love. And it's always in conjunction with discipline. Drinking water. Let me get my water. Eating right. Working out. Building better habits. It's discipline. Those are the things that really speak to your self-love journey. Not the self-maintenance. The self-maintenance is good. I got me a good massage yesterday, okay? An amazing massage yesterday. And I'm grateful for that. But the things that I do on a daily basis, how well do I love myself? And so the more you come to love yourself, the more you start to recognize and see yourself. Common has this one song, I can't remember what song it was, but he said, when you look at your brother, you should see yourself. And I remember hearing that song like long time ago, and it always stuck with me. I didn't necessarily have understanding of it at that time, but it's so real. The more we can start giving people grace and seeing ourselves in them, the more we can love. Nina said discipline and development. Dylan, I'm talking about a deep tissue. You hear me? But I love all of y'all. I know my videographer ready to go home. So I'm gonna let y'all go. But thank you so much for rocking with me. Again, if you are interested in the program that I'm doing for women, it's gonna be a 9-week journey so I can take you on this path to becoming. It's gonna be in depth. And it really has to do with those who see something specific for their life. God has already given you vision. You just need to get a little bit more clarity, and we can walk through this process so you can launch and so you can have the impact that you know you're supposed to have. Some of you are so frustrated because God has already shown you. but you don't necessarily know how to take the next step. I want to help you not just take the next step. I'm trying to help you to launch. Let's go. Okay. Let's go. So if that's you and you feel like, Essence, you're speaking to me, click the link in my bio or send me a DM. The actual program is in the bio right now. But again, we're going to push the start date back. But if you want to get into that program, go ahead and sign up. And in the meantime, I will see y'all next week. If you have certain topics that you want me to hit on, I think I may talk a little bit more about relationships because it's key. And I'm still going on my journey for that. So, thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Sharonda, for being here. Thank you, everybody. Have a blessed evening, and I will see you. I'm signing off, and this is Essence China. Peace.